Welcome to Zomedica's fourth Friday at 4 investor webinar on sales strategy and execution. Today we're taking a focused look at how Zomedica's commercial engine works, from the framework that guides every sales conversation to the team structure and tactics that turn the right product in the right clinic into a lasting customer relationship. Before we begin, I want to remind current and potential investors that we will be making various remarks about future expectations, plans, and prospects that are considered forward-looking statements. There are risks that actual results may differ from these statements. We refer you to the Safe Harbor statement on screen or to the Risk Factors sections of our public filings, which can be found on our website under Investor Filings, EDGAR, and SEDAR+. The statements are made as of today, July 24th, 2026, and reflect our expectations as of today. Thank you for joining us for Zomedica's Investor Webinar Series. We're excited to have you with us as we take a closer look at our company, our innovative product platforms, and the passionate people driving our success. This series is designed to give you a deeper understanding of how we're delivering value to veterinarians and to our shareholders. At Zomedica, our mission is to deliver innovative diagnostic and therapeutic technologies that empower veterinarians to focus on what they love most, enhancing pet care and improving pet parent satisfaction. Equally important, we help vets with what they need most, streamlining workflow, increasing cash flow, and boosting practice profitability. At Zomedica, our mission is guided by what we call our 5 pillars. These are core objectives that shape every decision we make about products and innovation. First and foremost, we aim to improve the quality of care for the pets. Equally important is enhancing the satisfaction of the pet parent, ensuring they feel confident and comfortable with the care provided. Our solutions also focus heavily on improving the veterinarian's daily workflow, helping veterinary practices operate smoothly and efficiently. Additionally, we are committed to positively impacting veterinarian cash flow, making sure our offerings are financially accessible and beneficial. Finally, our ultimate goal is to increase veterinarian profitability, providing products and solutions that help veterinary clinics grow and thrive financially. Now let's hear from Larry Heaton, Zomedica's Chief Executive Officer.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Larry Heaton, Chief Executive Officer of Zomedica. Thank you for joining us for today's fourth Friday at 4 webinar. We appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your continued interest in and support of Zomedica. Today's session focuses on one of the most important dimensions of building a durable growth company, how we sell. Not just what we sell, but how we built a commercial engine designed to match the right product to the right clinic and then turn that first engagement into a lasting Zomedica customer. In veterinary medicine, the sales process is different from many industries. Every practice has its own clinical profile, its own patient mix, its own workflow constraints, and its own financial priorities. A one-size-fits-all approach simply doesn't work. What does work is a disciplined framework that helps our teams identify where we can deliver the most value and then execute with precision. That framework is built on the 5 pillars, which we showcased in last month's webinar: quality of care of the pet, satisfaction of the pet parent, veterinarian workflow improvement, veterinary cash flow improvement, and improvement in veterinarian profitability. These 5 pillars guide the sales conversation, discovery questions, and product recommendations that our teams make in the field. We've invested significantly in building a commercial organization that can execute against this framework at scale. Today, we have a multi-channel direct sales force, field sales, inside sales, capital equipment specialists, professional services veterinarians, a dedicated equine team, and a growing international presence, all coordinated under one commercial engine. Today, you'll see how that framework translates into a structured operation, from our sales mission and strategy, to the tactics and team design that drive execution, to the performance results that demonstrate it's working. You'll also see how our sales organization has evolved alongside our product portfolio, growing from a single product startup to a 5-platform commercial company. With that, I'll turn it over to Kevin Klass, our Senior Vice President of Sales, to get us started. And at the end, we'll again engage in question and answers with those of you who are in attendance. So take it away, Kevin.
All right. My name's Kevin Klass. I'm the Senior VP of Sales here at Zomedica, coming up on my 3-year anniversary. I've got 35 years of sales and marketing experience. About 15 of those years have been in diagnostic sales and marketing with companies like Siemens, Johnson & Johnson, and Abbott. And I've got over 20 years experience in the veterinary industry. 5 of those years was with IDEX. I opened Canada for them and then joined Worldwide Marketing. And I have over 12 years of experience with Heska, where I was the VP of Sales, and I helped drive significant growth up until the time that they were purchased by Antech. So I'm glad to be here, and one of the reasons I joined Zomedica really is I loved my time at both IDEX and Heska. And it was an early stage in a company that was growing, and I saw the same opportunity to join a publicly traded company here with great products and a group of people that were really dedicated to success. And it's really no secret that I made a significant personal investment really in the stock because I believe in the success that we can have. I did something similar at Heska, and I'm looking forward to that turning out just as well for me here at Zomedica. So now you're going to find out a little bit more about our approach to the market and our sales strategy.
We've organized today's session around 5 areas that together form one commercial engine. First, the sales mission, delivering the 5 pillars in every clinic. Second, sales strategy, how we establish a foothold and expand within the account. Third, sales tactics, leading a direct sales force. Fourth, the sales organization and its evolution over time. And fifth, sales performance over time. Let's begin with the mission. Our mission is to show every clinic how our products deliver on the 5 pillars that matter most to their practice. No 2 clinics are alike. Practice type, location, size, staffing, and current capabilities all vary. So we ask a simple question against each pillar to find where we deliver the most value. Win the clinic with the best fit product. Delight that customer. Then expand our footprint with more of the portfolio. Quality of care of the pet. How can we help you improve your practice? Satisfaction of the pet parent. How can we keep your clients happy? Veterinarian workflow. What slows the team down? Veterinarian cash flow. Where can we help improve your revenue? And veterinarian profitability. How can we help you improve your margins? That's how we sell. Every conversation starts with these questions, not anywhere else. Faster time to diagnosis, fewer repeat visits. Running them in-house captures pharmaceutical revenue at diagnosis, driving profitability and happier clients. The TrueView AI-enabled digital microscope and telepathology platform frees technician time on every case, easing staffing pressure. Optional pathologist reads come back in about 2 hours for faster, more confident answers. The VetGuardian Plus system is the only touchless patient monitor available. It opens a new service line revenue stream while freeing staff time. Less patient stress, safer recovery, and reassurance for the pet parent. The PulseVet Shockwave system is the most proven shockwave therapy on the market, driving rehabilitation outcomes and high client satisfaction without the pitfalls of long-term drug therapy. And Vetigel is a fast-acting hemostatic gel that stops surgical bleeding in seconds, saving time and improving outcomes across dental, spay and neuter, and more complex surgical procedures. Our sales strategy follows a clear 3-phase model. Phase 1 is landing a foothold, closing a single high-fit platform with clear return on investment. For example, the PulseVet device in an equine practice, or leading with Vetigel, a low-barrier consumable every clinic needs, to open the door and build the relationship first. Phase 2 is expanding utilization, delighting the customer and driving usage through training, protocols, and support so the product proves its value. Phase 3 is cross-selling across the pillars. Once a clinic sees results from one product, the conversation naturally expands to the rest of the portfolio. Equine proves it. We penetrated the equine market with the PulseVet system and won major share in customer relationships, which we leveraged to produce rapid uptake of equine TrueForma devices. Now we're extending that foothold with new TrueForma assays and additional equine products. Our portfolio was built by acquisition: PulseVet, Assisi, TrueView, VetGuardian Plus, and the Corvo biotech platform. The U.S. addressable market for recurring sales exceeds $2 billion, and management targets a business exceeding $100 million, with expansion inside existing accounts as a primary lever. Not every product is the right first conversation for every clinic. We've mapped the portfolio to specific practice types. The PulseVet system is the best fit for sports, equine, and orthopedic companion animal practices, plus rehab clinics. The TrueForma platform is ideal for internal medicine, endocrine, and equine practices, as well as general practitioners and feline clinics looking to add new in-clinic tests. The TrueView scope fits clinics short on staff or running high volumes of cytology and hematology cases. The VetGuardian Plus system is suitable for any practice, and especially valuable for those handling high surgical volume, isolation cases, rural care, or hospitals offering major surgery, ICU, or overnight patient stays. The Assisi Loop is designed for chronic pain, inflammation, and rehabilitation, available through distributors and online for at-home care. And Vetagel is an easy consumable entry point for any clinic doing surgery or dental work. Our portfolio combines capital equipment with recurring revenue products. These sales campaigns require different expertise, which is why we have developed specialized roles, while keeping the account relationship coordinated. Our direct sales force operates across 3 primary channels. Field sales includes account managers who find and grow accounts, and capital equipment specialists handling ROI, financing, and closing, led by industry veteran area sales directors and backed by a dedicated equine team with deep clinical expertise and strong industry relationships. Inside sales provides coverage for open and unassigned territories, handling lead follow-up, consumable reorders, upgrades, and new sales campaigns. Professional services veterinarians provide peer-to-peer education, case review, and webinar support that builds credibility and utilization. They are also responsible for Zomedica's relationships with veterinary schools and deploy in the field to work with account managers for additional training and meetings with local veterinarians. In terms of segmentation and targeting, we've designed low-risk entry points. The TrueForma device is placed with no upfront capital required. The clinic pays only for assays. The TrueView AI microscope is a simple annual contract, and capital equipment like the PulseVet system leads with in-house demos and financing when needed. We target companion animal hospitals with high hospitalization or surgical caseloads for VetGuardian Plus monitoring, TrueView microscope cases, and Shockwave. Equine practices are targeted for the PulseVet system and the expanding library of TrueForma equine ACTH assays. All channels and roles work together to begin with the right product fit and deliver the most value to the customer. The commercial organization has evolved through 3 stages. Stage 1, 2021, a small commercial team. The PulseVet acquisition established our foothold in equine, with the early TrueForma launch close behind. Stage 2, 2022 to 2023, the team built out. We added capital equipment specialists, a vice president of corporate accounts, and an inside sales group for the U.S. and Canada. Account managers began selling TrueForma assays into equine accounts. Stage 3, 2024 through 2027, planned. Optimized hiring with clearer success criteria and fit, specialized coverage, and increasing productivity per territory in both capital and recurring revenue, with roughly the same headcount. In terms of footprint, we have direct sales across 4 U.S. regions, inside sales covering the U.S. and Canada, plus a growing international distributor network. Field and inside sales reach the U.S. and Canada, with distributor coverage into Canada, Japan, the U.K., Europe, Latin America, and other developed markets. Our deep equine presence built on our PulseVet business is now expanding with TrueForma and new equine assays in development. Revenue has grown from $4.1 million in 2021 to $32 million in 2025, a record year, representing 17.6% year-over-year growth. Year-end 2025, liquidity stood at approximately $53 million. This growth tracks directly to product launches and channel expansion and improved sales force productivity. The TrueForma portfolio now includes 11 launched assays spanning 16 diagnostic tests. VetGuardian Plus was added to the platform. The TrueView AI microscope was launched. PulseVet and Assisi are expanding internationally. Let's bring it all together. Mission: one framework that guides every product, every discovery question, and every KPI. Strategy: win with a single platform solution that delivers a clear return on investment, then expand into a multi-platform account. Tactics: field sales, inside sales, and PSVs consistently reinforce the 5 pillars in every customer interaction. Organization: evolve from a single product startup into a 5-platform commercial company. Performance: revenue grew from $4.1 million to $31.1 million between 2021 and 2025. We grew from a single platform to 5 integrated platforms, giving us the breadth to fully deliver on our 5 pillars. Now let's hear from Kevin Klass, who leads Zomedica's sales organization, for a closer look at how the team executes.
Important to me in the sales organization, we've got our VP of corporate accounts, we've got the area sales directors, and on those 4 teams, we have a capital equipment specialist as well as account managers. We have a great professional service veterinarian team, an equine team to support our equine efforts, an inside sales group, as well as an international group. And you're going to hear more about the international team next month. But for now, why don't you hear from some of the folks within the organization?
Hi, I'm AB. I lead our corporate account team here at Zomedica. My focus is on our relationships with corporate multi-site veterinary aggregators and group purchasing organizations across the country. So these are the large consolidated groups that own or manage dozens, sometimes hundreds of individual clinics. What that means day to day is I'm working on enterprise level agreements. A single agreement can open the door for an entire network of practices at once. That's really the core value of the role. It changes the scale of what is possible. But signing the agreement is really just the starting point. Once we're in, I work closely with their leadership to identify where Zomedica portfolio makes the most sense for the business, and then I coordinate closely with our excellent area sales directors and talented area account managers on the ground to help adoption actually spread. For me, corporate accounts are really about scale. One agreement with a consolidator or GP opens the door across dozens of clinics at once, and that is exactly when our 5 pillars start working in our favor. Why this matters so much? At this level, trust doesn't just help, it compounds. When a corporate account group sees real measurable value from Zomedica products, that success becomes a reference point for every other conversation we have with them. Leadership isn't evaluating us one at a time. They're evaluating us as a strategic partner across their entire network of hospitals. So one strong vote doesn't just open the door, it changes how the whole rest of the portfolio gets received. And that's the multiplier effect I'm chasing every day. It is to build enough credibility with the first win that the next conversation and the one after that gets easier and faster across every location under their umbrella. And that's what makes it such an exciting time. As our portfolio continues to grow with new products and enhancements coming down the pipeline, I'm looking forward to bringing even more value to these corporate partners and giving our teams even more reasons to command attention and win mindshare across every group we work with.
Hi, I'm Tammy Pierce. I'm the Area Sales Director for the Midwest region at Zomedica, which covers from Minnesota to Maine. I've been in the industry for over 25 years, and prior to that, I was a licensed vet tech in practice. I lead a team of 7 account managers and 1 capital equipment specialist. I make sure our approach to every practice starts the same way. We need to go for the veterinary practice's immediate need with one of our products, and then from there, I can coach them to continue to introduce the rest of the Zomedica product line. What I love about the way we operate at Zomedica is we have a consistent approach. It's never one size fits all. We find the clinic's goals, challenges, and priorities, and we meet them where they're at. Often one of our products will get us in the door, but that product solves an immediate need. This gives us an opportunity to learn more about the practice and show them other ways that we can help. That's where the strength of the Zomedica ecosystem really comes in. As we continue to educate and build trust, we can introduce additional solutions that help improve patient care, increase efficiencies, support practice growth, and ultimately drive profitability. The 5 pillars gives us a roadmap for these conversations. They help us expand the relationship beyond a single product and position Zomedica as a complete solution partner. The goal is for the clinic to see the value of the entire ecosystem, not just the product they originally purchased from us.
Hi, my name is Mark Murad, and I am a capital equipment specialist here at Zomedica, and I'm excited today to share with you what I do on a day-to-day basis that encompasses part of our 5-pillar strategy here at Zomedica. As a capital equipment specialist, My focus is to help veterinary practices evaluate and implement larger capital equipment and technology investments that can have a significant impact on both patient care and practice performance. My responsibility is to deliver deep expertise across our capital equipment portfolio and work closely with clinics to build both clinical and financial justification for their investment. My role is not just to explain the technology, but to help practices understand how the equipment supports better outcomes, improved workflow, and long-term business growth. The ongoing support offered by Zomedica once a purchase is made doesn't stop there. I partner closely with our account managers and professional services veterinarians to ensure the customer continues to realize value from their investment and to identify additional opportunities where Zomedica can support the practice. Capital equipment often serves as the entry point into the broader Zomedica. These investments require a high level of trust. They create a strong foundation for a long-term partnership. That's exactly how our 5-pillar strategy is designed to work. A practice may initially engage with us through a major equipment purchase, but once they experience the value, service, and support Zomedica provides, they're often much more receptive to additional solutions across our portfolio. In many ways, capital equipment opens the door and the portfolio connection strengthens and expands the relationship over time.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Rader. I am an account executive with Zomedica. I cover North Texas, which is from the Hill Country all the way to the Louisiana border, all the way out to the Big Bend area and up into the Panhandle. My role at Zomedica is to take care of accounts from small practices to larger practices to corporate groups, mixed animals, some equine. So there's a whole gamut of different clients that we have. And my job is to basically take them from the initial steps of maybe having one product that Zomedica can offer that will solve their needs, and then in time create the relationships to where there's an opportunity to sell more products to them. Case in point, the end of last quarter, I sold 2 pulse vets for a total revenue of close to $70,000, $80,000 to 2 clients that had purchased. One had purchased a Vet Guardian, our touchless CPR monitor, and then I was able to talk to them about having a pulse vet into their rehab, into their, musculoskeletal therapy side of their practice. The other one was a TrueForma client who got the device for free. They paid the cartridges, but I was able to talk her into buying a pulse vet. She's mixed animal. She has a large equine background, but I also talked to her and showed her how it can very much fit into her small animal side. Probably more volume there than even in her large animal side. So our job is to basically go and meet with the clinics, find out where they're at, meet them where they are, and then also progress them further. So love what we do here. With Zomedica, we have so many different options to be able to, what I like to call it in sales, get hooks into people. The more hooks I can get into you, the harder it is for you to leave. We meet the practices where we are, or where they are. If they're just wanting some quick point of care options with a TrueForma that solves some needs for them, they don't want to have to wait. They want to be able to prescribe the day of doing testing and things like that. They have TrueForma. If there's people who have large rehabs, and they may have a laser or some other therapeutics, we have PulseVet for that. We have TrueView for folks who are sending a lot out with cytology and things of that nature, save them some money. So we meet our patients where we are. We coordinate with our corporate accounts. We coordinate with our capital equipment specialists. Like, there's a huge team here. There's a lot of support that we have to be able to draw on the expertise of people from multiple backgrounds across the network to be able to make the solution fit for that clinic, for their patients. It's wonderful having a group and having a backing and having the ability to have folks that you can count on them when there's questions or there may be an issue that may be a little bit, nuanced. We can find solutions to help them out, to get them to be our clients. So.
Hi, I'm Laura, a capital equipment specialist here at Zomedica. I bring in deep product and commercial expertise for our capital equipment lines. I help practices evaluate a bigger technology investment, looking both at financial and clinical cases. I then get to partner with our account managers so the relationship doesn't stop with one product. Capital equipment is often the door opener. It is a big decision, so once the practice trusts us enough to make that investment, they're much more open to the rest of what Zomedica offers. That is exactly how the 5 pillars are designed to work. one high-value product earns the trust, and then the ecosystem takes over.
Hello, my name is Scott. I'm the capital equipment specialist in the Central Region. I've been in the animal health industry for 20-plus years now, and I'm proud to be approaching my 4-year anniversary with Zomedica. My role as a capital equipment specialist is to help practices evaluate a larger investment by uncovering solutions we can provide clinically and financially. I work in coordination with my area sales director, our account managers, and our professional service veterinarians throughout the entire process to ensure the customer is supported and very successful with their purchase. Capital equipment is a big decision. Once customers trust us enough to make that investment and see the commitment we show in providing solutions clinically and financially, they are much more open to the rest of our portfolio, which is exactly how the 5 pillars are designed to work.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kim Keaton, one of the 4 professional services veterinarians at Zomedica. Prior to joining the organization, I spent 20 years in clinical practice in both the United States and the United Kingdom. As a member of the PSV team, I serve as a clinical and technical expert supporting veterinarians, veterinary practices, and the commercial team in the use of Zomedica's diagnostic and therapeutic products. I also act as a liaison between customers, sales, marketing, research and development, and key opinion leaders to advance product adoption and improve patient outcomes. As a PSV, I provide technical and clinical guidance on product use, treatment protocols, and case management to veterinarians, their staff, and the Zomedica sales team. In order to reach veterinarians, I deliver veterinary education through presentations, wet labs, webinars, CE programs, and conferences. Supporting the sales team comes through addressing clinical questions and demonstrating product value. The initial and continuing education of the internal sales and customer-facing teams on disease states and product applications is one of the most fulfilling parts of my position. Furthermore, I continually collaborate with marketing to develop scientifically accurate educational content and build relationships with key opinion leaders, specialists, teaching hospitals, and industry partners. Representing Zomedica at regional and national veterinary conferences, trade shows, and industry events is an exciting way to share our tech-forward products on a larger scale with personal interactions.
My name is Jessica Deary. I am the account manager for New York. I have upstate New York, western Massachusetts, and all of Connecticut. I have been in the veterinary industry for about 20 years now. What do I do on a daily basis? I prospect, I look for leads, I cold call, I cold email, but most importantly, I look to solve problems for the veterinarians in the industry by using our products. So I do a lot of relationship building, kind of see what is the problem that we could solve at the veterinary hospital with one of our products and how we can help them, help the veterinary technicians, and most importantly, bring better care to the pets at an affordable price. So that's demonstrations, installs, lunches, education, anything we can do to help the veterinarians learn about our products, and then ultimately, obviously, sell the products to them.
Thank you for spending this time with us today. I hope this session gave you a clear view of how we think about our commercial strategy, and more importantly, how Kevin and his team execute it. We believe the combination of a disciplined sales framework, a growing multi-product platform, and a team focused on productivity and account expansion positions Zomedica for continued growth in the years ahead. With that, again, thanks for your support of Zomedica, and let's move now to the question and answer period.
We'll now move into the live Q&A section. If you have a question, please drop it into the chat box now. We're here to help, and if you have questions later, you can contact us with the contact information shown on your screen.
So, Kevin, thanks for leading this presentation this month. And before we get started, I'll let you know that he's going to be leading the one next month as well as next month's Fourth Friday. In addition to releasing earnings, talking about the earnings that we will have released on August 5th. We'll also be focusing on our international markets And of course, Kevin leads that effort as well. I sure do wish this were the 6th Friday of July, because that would make it right after we released earnings. So it makes it a little frustrating today to be able to, not be able to share many of the things that I know you all are very interested in. But there are some questions, so let's kick them off. So the first one, in October 25, Qorvo introduced its latest BAW platform, highlighting improvements such as smaller size, lower power consumption, and some other benefits. Since Truforma is built on Qorvo's BAW technology, should investors expect future BAW platform advancements to become available for future generations of Truforma? And would these improvements require a significant redesign or a new agreement? Also, could future generations enable entirely new assays or next generation capabilities for Truforma? And could they be integrated in the existing platform and so on and so forth? So let me say this. So each time that Qorvo makes an advance on the bulk acoustic wave sensor technology, we take a look at it to see if it would, in fact, provide new capabilities for our existing, product. To this point, we have not seen anything that would allow us to do more with our current product. It's really quite good as it is. It has a very significant range as it is, and we haven't been thwarted at anything that we wanted to do to date. So we're sticking with what we have. It makes perfect sense. If though we find something, when you think about it, the BAW sensor is actually enclosed in the cartridge itself. So minor changes in the configuration of the sensor maybe would require minor changes in the cartridge on a go-forward basis. But typically, other than a software change to allow the instrument to pick up what the sensor is capturing, other than that, we would not be looking at a change in the instrument being necessary. Although, until we see the newest of the new, we won't know. But if it was something that was a dramatic improvement, we would look to incorporate it. Without discussing confidential pricing, could you help investors understand the economics of Truforma compared with sending the same test to a reference laboratory? For a typical assay, does performing the test in-house generally provide a better financial outcome for the clinic? If so, could you share approximately how significant that difference is? Kevin, you want to take this one?
Sure. So there's a few different things to consider here. One is there are some tests like feline TSH that are on the Truforma that aren't even available at the reference lab. So the only place you're going to get that is by running it on the Truforma system in clinic. So that, of course, is unique and incredible. For some other tests like cobalamin and folate, they are indeed available at the reference lab. Typically, for cobalamin and folate, we are less expensive to run in-house, but also has the other benefits of being faster. So for that and for some other tests, by being able to run the test in clinic versus the reference lab, it helps the satisfaction of the pet parent, right? Because they're happier they get the answer that day. It often is better care for the patient because you can start treatment earlier when you get the result. And there is a financial benefit in many cases because you can, if you're going to write a prescription for that patient, you can fill it on the spot. And there's actually a news article that came out this week with CVS getting involved in some pet prescriptions. But if you can write the prescription when the client is at the clinic, you're more than likely to capture that pharmaceutical revenue rather than waiting for a lab result and then the client is gone and then you provide the prescription for them. So generally, yes, the economics are better, but that isn't always just reflected in the price of the test.
Yeah, and sadly, those savings generally are going to stay in the veterinarian practice. I say sadly, if you're a pet owner like me and you take your dog to the vet, typically what a vet will do is set their prices based on the send out price, because sometimes they may have to send it out. And then if they're actually spending less, then that's just extra margin for them. It's a good thing for the vet practice, but you're not necessarily going to see it in the end user pricing. So there are a couple of questions here that are asking for guidance, for revenue guidance for 2026, which we will decline to provide. the probability that the company will be profitable in the fourth quarter of this quarter, I will tell you, we do not expect to be profitable per GAAP in the fourth quarter of this year. We have not expected that or indicated that in any of our calls. Cash flow break even is a target, is a goal of ours. I'll decline to handicap that, if you don't mind. You've described land and expand as the core growth strategy without identifying customers. Can you quantify how many Zomedica accounts now use 2 or more platforms? How much recent growth came from cross-selling into existing accounts versus new customers? And whether those trends keep you on track for cash flow break even by the end of the year. So without commenting on the specific numbers of accounts that we have, which we decline to disclose, and whatnot, Kevin, I'll ask you to answer that, and maybe more qualitatively than quantitatively.
Understood. Yeah, I think there are quite a few. We have, again, a good example, as we alluded to during the presentation a little bit, is the equine world. We have a significant market share within the PulseVet placements within equine practices. The Truforma device, when we launched first with the ACTH, we had a significant number of those clients also adopt the Truforma device. And then when we got insulin, those customers who had adopted it for ACTH added insulin, and we adopted even more customers even adopted the platform because we had a more complete solution. And now as we add more and more tests, we get that uptake. So small animal side, again, it's also very common if we get in with the Truforma because it's a low hurdle because you're not signing a big contract. We are there for the installation, and it's a great time to talk to the staff about other customers. So I would say it's very common for people to adopt another platform after that first interaction.
Yeah, a really good point on the equine customers. A very significant percentage of them have adopted Truforma after being PulseVet customers for some considerable amount of time, and that's exactly what we're going for. Was we developed the products for the equine community. The company stock is really cheap. Why not use this range to start to buy back shares? This is not something that we'll consider until we are cash flow positive, GAAP profitable, which we expect to be in 2027. Our mantra is that a buyback is a permanent loss of capital for a short-term gain. We're preserving our capital. We believe we have sufficient capital to be able to achieve cash flow break even and profitability. But we don't see what we could do in the marketplace with buying back shares to impact the share price until we're ready, until we're generating new cash flow and free cash flow and able to commit to it in a significant way. So that's why it's frustrating from a company standpoint. It's frustrating from an individual standpoint for those of us who are locked out for a period of time. And I understand the question, but it's not something that we're going to be doing in the near term. Let's see. Since Truforma instruments are placed with no upfront capital charge, can you quantify the current unit economics, average assays run per instrument, and so on and so forth? So this is all getting into the very specific, and I understand why you want this. You want to create a model and so on and so forth, but so do our competitors want to know where do we stand. And, the indications are there. We've seen, as I mentioned before, we've seen a major competitor actually add assays to their point-of-care device because they saw us gaining traction in the marketplace. And that's, not something that we want to disclose for that reason. I will say that, focusing on Truforma in terms of revenue generation is a good thing. But right now, Truforma is on to its third in terms, I think, of revenue generation in terms of overall for a full year. And I'd have to check to make sure it's not, tied for third or fourth. So we have a combination of products, and you've heard the sales strategy, which is to cross-sell and to sell multiple products into accounts. So each product pulls another one through. So I will say that the question ends with, what is the level needed for us to become profitable? We believe we have the right set of products, and we're very pleased with the growth. I think you'll be pleased when you see the results from the second quarter and the first half in combination. And we do believe that we have the utilization and the annual recurring revenue and so on to get where we need to get to be able to achieve the nearest term milestones, which are cash flow breakeven and then profitability. Any update on an equine indication for VetGuardian? Yeah, so that's one I ask myself, right? So the problem not the problem, but the situation with an equine VetGuardian is that the horse being monitored is in a much different scenario than the dog or the cat. The dog or the cat is in a relatively small cage, a kennel, a cage, whatever you refer to it as. And so therefore the VetGuardian is able to see the animal, be able to keep track of the animal, and be able to provide those consistent results. A horse, on the other hand, is in a stable. No one's going to constrict its movements. I suppose if a horse in a hospital and ICU, that's different. But we see a broad use case, especially for high-value horses with VetGuardian. And so there are some things that we've done relatively recently in terms of upgrading the technology with VetGuardian. And we just hired a new product manager to work specifically on product development. In fact, if you look at our LinkedIn, I know somebody sent me, she did a post today. She's actually a veterinarian, and she has a lot of experience in the vet industry and corporate. And that's one of her projects to work on. What are the top two easiest products to sell, and at what point do you see organic inbound interest? What needs to happen to get a better word of mouth? Do we need more products, assays, etc.? Kevin, I'm going to ask you that one.
Sure. It's funny. The answer is it depends. A product that may be hard to sell at one clinic is easy to sell at another. I will say in general, the TrueForma, given the fact that it doesn't have a commitment, we probably get the most volume, if you will, of that moving. VetGuardian has a significant amount of inbound interest, but it is a capital acquisition. And so though you get a lot of interest, you've got to work through that return on an investment analysis. So regarding word of mouth, we do a fair bit to get references and testimonials from our current account base, and we utilize those at our trade show booths and some of our marketing and some other things. And so I'm actually very happy coming from the companies that I have. The number of inbound leads that we get from our marketing efforts is higher than I've experienced at any job before. I mean, Larry and I both get copied on these leads, and both being sales guys, we can't help but to open them and look at them. And there's multiple per day worldwide of leads that come in saying, I'm interested in your product. And that is a salesperson's dream, quite honestly.
In fact, to your point, Kevin, I will, let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so the last lead that's come in that I've seen, I guess it was yesterday. So the last lead that came in yesterday reads as follows. It's from an animal health center in Arkansas. So Scott will be happy. Small animal vet. Product of interest is TrueForma. And the note is, one of our doctors learned of TrueForma recently and would like more information, please. And we see these all the time. And, there are essentially no objections to bringing TrueForma in if you have a need for it. And apparently this doctor liked what he saw, so perceives a need. There should be a very straightforward placement of TrueForma and purchase of assays. Let's see. There's one here that says, without asking you to disclose any confidential names, are additional companies approaching Zomedica to explore development partnerships beyond the current ones you've mentioned? If so, how do we evaluate which opportunities to pursue? What qualities or strategic fit do you look for before deciding to move forward with a new partner? Okay, so the first answer to the first part of that question is yes. We have talked to a couple of animal health companies. One we've actually executed an agreement with, but it's confidential, so I can't really disclose who it is. It's not. It's also not material at this point. It's more of a future type thing. The other one is an animal health company that sees a potential benefit to partnering with us because of what our technology can do that would help them with their market. Again, confidential, can't really get into it. And then there's another one that's in the animal health market today and is looking to cross over into the human health market. And that one's also a little bit more downstream, but also potentially, pretty impactful for us. In terms of evaluating them, we really look to see what is it that they need, and can we provide it with our current infrastructure and our current personnel without adding any infrastructure, without adding investments, without making investments in order to be able to do what it is they want to do. If it's not something within our bandwidth or our capability, or it would require substantial investment from us, frankly, it's not on our docket right now. We're focused on getting the cash flow break even and profitability as soon as we can. And so that's really what we look for. If there's a particular synergy, in other words, they have something and we have something, and if we help them figure out how our something can help their something, and both products would rise as a result, then for sure that would be something that we would prioritize. And we'll let you know as there are material things. We'll certainly disclose those. Any new studies on PulseVet that can open up the market on the small animal side, non-equine? Let me just say, I don't think so. There are new studies that are publishing because people like to research the beneficial effects of shockwave on small animals, as well, of course, as horses. But there's already like 40-some studies out there. So we are not funding new studies. What we're seeing is that universities have, residents or fellows that want to publish something. And if someone comes to us and says, I have an idea here for this particular study, we might provide them with a shockwave device or some trodes. But we're not funding studies right now for PulseVet because we don't see a return on our investment, and that's really what we're primarily focused on as we allocate capital today. Can you talk about the name product recognition you have seen at trade shows this year compared to 1, 2, 3 years ago? Does it feel like the brand is becoming more of a household name in the vet community? Kevin, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So when I joined 3 years ago, really I'd heard of Zomedica being in the industry but didn't know a whole lot about them. And now I think we definitely have better name recognition. Our booths at the major trade shows is a fairly substantial presence. And I will say that in talking to, colleagues in the industry, I hear our name brought up more, and I also get more people contacting me asking about positions here, what we're doing, and things like that. So I definitely feel like there's more buzz around the brand than there was 3 years ago. And when you walk into a clinic, it seems like people say, yes, I have heard of you more. We certainly have a ways to go, but it's definitely improved.
It's funny. First of all, I think I agree with everything you said, but it's also funny because the other day I was talking to a veterinarian at an account, and we were talking about something in particular that we're exploring. Let me say it like that. And so I thought I would tell her a little bit about us. She called, and I returned her call and answered her questions about the person. I said, well, let me first ask you, have you heard of Zomedica? No, haven't heard of Zomedica. I said, okay. This particular person happens to be an equine vet. So I said, okay, well, Zomedica, so we're the manufacturers of PulseVet, and we and wait, PulseVet? Oh, we use that. Yeah, we use that all the time. Okay, well, that's Zomedica. Right? Oh, I thought it was PulseVet. Okay, it was, and now it's both. And then I said, but also, we also have diagnostic equipment. For example, how do you measure ACTH? And she said, wait, are you Truforma too? And I said, yes, we are, as a matter of fact. So it's interesting that in many cases, and this is always something that a marketeer needs to evaluate early on, is are you looking to primarily build the brand of the company or build a product brand? And in our case, PulseVet was a brand that had been built way before we took it, before we acquired it. But in the case of Truforma, nobody, that was a brand that we built. So we've been about the business of building both the product brand and the company brand, and frankly, don't really care too much about which one they know, as long as they're buying the products, right? So, interesting. Can we expect new assays soon for Truforma? Yes. So we have 2 more assays that are slated to launch this quarter in the next 2 months, and another one that we expect to launch in the 4th quarter. And then there are a couple more on the heels of that, but that would be spilling over into more than likely would be in the 1st quarter of next year as opposed to 4th quarter. And I think that might be it for questions today. Yep. Well, here's another one. At the May webinar, you said at least one PIMS integration had completed end-to-end testing with Truforma targeted around June and additional products through September. Is the first integration now commercially live? Which Zomedica products are currently connected? And are you already seeing better close rates, utilization, or customer retention from it? So good question. And we believe we're on track to have them all pretty much done. Not all of them, right? There's 20 or more PIMS integrators out there. But the top, 15, 16 cover almost all of the accounts out there. And so we expect for those major ones, those top, say, 15, which cover a huge percentage of the total, we expect to have those all live by September. We are currently in the clinic, in some clinics, I should say, having them use the Truforma device, which was the first one that we set up. They're actually using that in their practice now, just to provide, test it and trial it and so on and so forth. And then once that's complete, then we'll roll it out and have it, make it available across our customer base. Well, we haven't done that yet. The other products are coming right behind that. And, so again, we expect by, the end of September to have, all the products that we expect to go be integrated with PIMS to, by that point, have been integrated with PIMS. And let me think. Let's see here. You previously discussed 2 Truforma assays in Q3 and 2 in Q4. Today you indicated 2 in Q3, 1 in Q4, and additional in Q1 27. Does that represent a timing shift? Well, no, we talked about 2 in Q3. Oh, and 2 in Q4. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. Yes, it does indicate a timing shift. Either I misspoke about the 4th one on the last call, and it really wasn't going to be ready in December, or it slipped from December to early next year. I'll say it this way. Maybe I can't take back my answer. Let me say it this way. We intend to launch into the marketplace 2 in the 3rd quarter, 1 for sale in the 4th quarter, and we'll launch a 4th one at the AAEP meeting in December. It likely won't be available for sale until the 1st quarter, but we'll take the opportunity of the large AAEP conference to launch it and make people aware of it maybe even collect initial orders. It just depends on the timing. And that's probably what I was thinking at the last call. And will all of these run on the existing TrueForma installed base without any hardware changes? Absolutely, yes. The software needs to be upgraded in the machines, but a couple of years ago we invested in the over-the-air software upgrade capability for just this reason, so that whenever we launch a new one, they do some things, software-wise in the cloud and add the reference ranges and do all that. And then once we launch it, customers can seamlessly order it and use it without anything being done to their machines in their practice. Are they primarily equine or companion animal? Two of them. No, I think this group are going to be all equine, right? 1, 2. Yeah, these next 4 will be equine. Is there anything the corporate accounts are waiting for before signing them up? And if so, what would it be? Kevin, you want to take that one?
Sure. We're engaged with multiple corporate accounts. These things don't always move as quickly as you'd like. You've seen an announcement from us on Vertical Vet in the past. We have a couple irons in the fire and hope that we'll have some more news for you soon on the corporate account front. And those efforts are ongoing. I will say that we have had success with, I'll say, non-contracted situations with corporate accounts. So by having a corporate account person on board when there's an acquisition request from a corporate account, you can still get that done without a blanket agreement, but sometimes it requires a little extra hand-holding to get it through. So we have benefited from some of that with the corporate account group as well.
Yep, and we expect to have some news on that front in the not-too-distant future. Without naming the biomarkers, can you clarify how far the 2 assays and the Q4 assay have progressed? Development, verification, validation, or launch prep, and whether they expand into new clinical categories or mainly deepen the existing equine and companion animal menus? Well, so anytime we launch a new assay, well, not anytime, but most times, and these times, there will be a new clinical indication or a new clinical category. For example, for horses now, we have assays for identifying and monitoring the Cushing's disease, for insulin dysregulation, and for breeding, and for caring for the sick colts, right? So the new ones we're coming out with also have new indications in a different aspect of it. And what happens is each of the care of a horse. So each time we come out with a new one, then there's a new sort of subcategory of veterinarian that says, oh, I want the TrueForma, right? So before we had the one for breeding, vets that were primarily dealing with breeding, they're not dealing with older horses, so they're not seeing PPID, so they're not adopting EACTH because they don't see the need for it in their particular practice. Once we came out with progesterone, then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but then breeding vets, it became applicable for them. And we expect that some of that will happen with the assays that we're launching here between now and the end of the year. Let's see. I think, well, for the 2 Q3 assays, whether they target equine or companion animal use, I think we already talked about that. And whether they open new categories or expand, I think that's maybe a duplicate question. But the end part of that question that says whether every currently placed TrueForma instrument can run them without hardware modification, that's an absolute yes. That's an absolute yes. Now, somebody that has that's focused on reproduction, isn't going to necessarily run an assay that we make for PBID. But they could if they wanted to. And a lot of times those that are subspecialties are in practice with other veterinarians. So, final question, because we're right at 5 o'clock. Will the window be open for insiders after you report? Our insider trading policy says that 15 days before the end of a quarter, the window shuts for insiders, and 48 hours or 2 days after the release of earnings, the window opens for insiders. So, yes, it will be open for insiders after we report. It'll be a couple days after we report. And with that, let me thank you again for your with your support of Zomedica. Your shareholders, and I'm sure you have plenty of other things that you could be doing on Fridays at 4 o'clock. So I appreciate your interest and your following. And as always, if you have any questions that we haven't been able to answer on this call, please feel free to reach out. And with that, thank you very much again for being here. Kevin, any last words?
No, thank you all for your support, and look forward to having some other great calls.
And seeing them next month. All right, thank you, everyone.